Once the agent has been created, we're going to go through the steps to make our agent a lot better. So on the same Dapta view, as you can see, we've already got Michael created. And if we click on them, we're going to go and see the details from the agent that we created. We can change the purpose. We can change the language or the description. We've got the ID of the agent if for whatever reason we want to use this agent inside of flows of Dapta. And we've got a webhook URL. And what that does basically is that whenever Michael is going to end a call, there's a webhook or a URL that's going to be called, and there's an action to be performed. Next, we've got the instruction set. As you can see right here, we've got all of the instructions that we had defined in the previous steps, but we can go a little bit further. As you can see here, you see that we can add variables inside of these brackets because, well, as you know, not all of your leads are going to be called Robert. So in this case, for example, we're just going to go ahead and remove Robert, and we're going to add a variable called contact name. And here where we've got Robert as well, we're going to go ahead and contact name. And what this is going to do is that whenever the agent is performing the call, it's not going to just set that particular name, but it's going to be able to receive the variable so that we don't have to stick to a pretty flat script. We can add that information right here underneath the constraints. We can add a section called variables, and we can go ahead and create this one, which is contact name, and we'll just leave the detail of the name of the lead being called. On the right hand section, we've got 3 blocks. So we've got the speech settings, we've got the voice settings, and we've got the call settings. As for speech settings, first we've got the background sound. So just to make it sound a little bit more human. So either a coffee shop or a call center or static noise, whatever makes your agent sound a little bit more with a context and not just blank. The responsiveness is how long your agent is willing to wait before responding to the user input. So it's important to know that higher values make the agents respond faster. So it can make the conversation a lot more fluid. Then we've got the interruption sensitivity, which controls how easily you can interrupt the AI by a human speech. Right now, for example, it's really sensitive, but if you're trying to contact people who may be driving or people who tend to have louder background noises, it's more recommended just to have an interruption sensitivity a little bit lower so that it's not so sensitive to background noise. Then we've got the back channeling, which allows the agent to use more familiar expressions like yeah or aha, just so that the conversation flows a little bit more naturally. Then we've got the boosted keywords, which are keywords so that the agent can prioritize and use a little bit more during the conversation. Then we've got a really important element, which is speech normalization, which converts numbers or dates or other entities into normalized format so that the conversation isn't as robotic, mainly when you're managing number values or email values. This is really important. And finally, for the sound settings, it's the disabling of transcript formatting, just to prevent agent errors like phone numbers being formatted as timestamps or whatever it may be. And it's important to know that if you disable this, this is going to increase the latency of the agent's responses. Then we've got a section for the voice settings. Here in the voice settings, you can select the voice of the agent that you're going to use. So once you click on use voice, that's the voice that you're going to go with, but you can pre-visualize or pre-hear the voice of the agent that you want to select. For example, we can go with Anthony.
Hello there, I'm Anthony, your helpful guide. How can I make things easier and more convenient for you today?
But maybe Anthony doesn't really work for you, so you go with Lucas.
Hello, I'm Lucas, your personal AI Earthkeeper, nurturing your tasks to fruition with care and precision.
And well, whenever you find a voice that works for you, you can just go ahead and select it. As you know, this works with AI, and it uses voice models by 11 Labs. There are 3 different voice models here that you can select from. It's important to just test out what best works for you, but you can switch that out at any time if for whatever reason the voice model that you're using isn't really working for you. Then we've got the voice speed, which is how fast your agent is taking the conversation, or if they're going a little bit slower. Normally you can just set it out to 1.2. That's a pretty standard speed for a conversation. But you can just set it out to whatever value works better for you, depending on the context. If maybe you're going to address people who are a little older, you can just go a little bit slower, or younger folk, you can just go ahead and use a faster voice speed. Then we've got the voice temperature, which is how familiar the voice agent is going to be. So pretty much just the level of warmth that the conversation is going to have, or it's just going to be a lot more professional. And finally, we've got the voice volume, which is just how loud the agent is going to is going to speak. Sorry. And finally, we've got the call settings. So these are really important because, well, the agent isn't going to end the call, even if you just go ahead and start saying goodbye to each other. The agent is not going to hang up the call. The call is going to be hung up from the agent's side with either one of 2 conditions, or either the time of the max call duration gets there, or if there's a silence that arrives to this time over here. So for the end call and silence, we can just go ahead and, for example, 1 minute. If there's a 1 minute silence, we can just go ahead and hang up that call. And maybe you just don't want the duration of the call to just overstay its limit. So let's say that if a call just goes over 16 minutes, it's just going to be hang up. So the next section in the test call is going to allow us to test out these variables that we defined right here. So as you saw previously, we just defined the contact name there. And here on the test call section, you're going to be able to see that we've got the contact name here, in this case, Federico. So we're going to go ahead and call and see how the AI just connects with that variable and not with the Robert that we initially had there. So I'm receiving the call right now.
Hello, Federico. This is Michael calling from ABC Company. Can you hear me clearly?
I can, Michael.
Great. I see you recently filled out a form expressing interest in our services. I'd like to verify a few details with you. Could you confirm your company name is Tech Solutions and your primary interest is in our software services?
Yes, but I don't have any time right now, Michael. I'm sorry, I have to go. So as you can see, you can just define all of those particular parameters to be defined in the instruction set so that everything works as smoothly as possible and as personalized as you want to the different contacts. And finally, we've got this call log tab, which is really important because it's going to allow you to analyze the calls of your different agent. It's got a search bar if you, for whatever reason, have a lot of calls logged. But right here, you can see that, well, the logs of the calls, if the call was ended, recorded, if it was successful or not. A successful call is logged if, well, there was an actual interaction between the two parties. As you can see right here, the call that we just made, didn't really reach that threshold to be marked as successful, but the one that was logged in the previous video was. And you can also see, well, the date, the time, and the disconnection reason. You can just go ahead and download the recording if you want. But if you want to see a little bit with more detail that call log, you can go into the details and you can see a summary of the call. You can see the dynamic variables that were defined. You can hear a recording of the call. You can read the transcript of it, or you can even download the JSON of the file. So that's how you can use all of the different functionalities inside of the voice agent. As you know, you can always access any queries or any doubts that you have with our system in our help section in the bottom right, and I'll talk to you guys soon.